And I looked at my ratio compared to him. It's a little bit unique way to look at it, but that's what came to me. And I was looking for a lot of different signals. And then in the runoff, it was just me and Kassar, and then I got my percent. And what I noticed made me nauseous. 3 precincts stayed exactly the same percent to 1 decimal point. And half the people had traded out in the runoff. Half the people didn't vote. So that's a little unusual. And then I noticed one precinct went up 3% and another precinct went down 3% to 1 decimal point. It did not make sense. So now I'm going to talk about some algebra. How many here love high school algebra? Anybody? Okay. And all I'm going to show is high school algebra. We're not getting any deeper than that. Y'all remember y equals mx plus b? Remember that? The straight line formula? So I had a statistician say, Laura, do this. Look on an XY graph, plot what you got in the general as percent and put that versus what you got in the runoff and see if there's a correlation to those two things. And okay, so I did that. And then I also did it for other candidates that were in that city council race that did runoffs to see if my potential trend was different than them. So I did that for other candidates. On the X is the general, on the Y is the runoff for different races. And you see kind of a scatter plot. And again, this is the 80-20 rule applied, where 80% of the votes were cast in those elections. This is another election, and this is another one. And you see, it's just random, right? This one's mine. It's a straight line. Y equals mx plus b. That's not normal. The other ones are normal. R squared of that line is 0.98. I knew my election was stolen. That proved it to me. I was an engineer for 17 years in the semiconductor industry, and I would shut a $1 billion factory down on data less correlated than that. I knew what I was looking at. The hacker didn't change the program from the general to the runoff. He used the same formula. You're shaking your head. Isn't it amazing? So here I'm a candidate, right? And it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I see this and I feel like I've just touched the devil. I mean, I knew elections were stolen, but I didn't think they were done at the city council level. So I woke my husband up at 2 o'clock in the morning and said, I know my election was stolen. He's an engineer too, so he got it. And so we had a choice. Do we step up and take personal responsibility, or do we step back and be a victim? So we stepped up. And I said, I want to recount because something's wrong. There shouldn't be that straight line. That should not be there. And many other candidates might not know the difference, but I did. This convinced me 100% that something was wrong. So I started reading the election code, and I wanted to recount. So I was looking for one thing in the Texas election code. Again, I was worried about block walking and phone banking. I never read the election code, and so I started reading 200 chapters. And I was looking for one thing. What are the backup records to that dang electronic voting system? What are the backup records? Because God bless the legislature, they've done some good work on this. So I started reading the Texas Constitution and the election code. And I was looking for one thing. What are the backup records supposed to be there? And there are 3 backup records, guys, that have to be there for all of this electronic BS that we're dealing with in the state of Texas. First thing, you got to have a numbered ballot for a recount. Okay? Number 2, you got to have returns. The precinct tapes from election night. How many judges? You know you print the tapes, right? Okay. The third record are audit logs of the main computer